aging dams and seawalls across Massachusetts are in growing need of repair, and in some cases removal. Many are in poor or unsatisfactory condition, posing public safety risks such as flooding and deteriorating infrastructure. Hazardous dams and seawalls not only affect human safety, but they also have long-lasting effects on the environment. These man-made structures impact water quality, fish passage to spawning sites, and the transportation of sediments, which are crucial to maintaining a healthy aquatic ecosystem. To address these hazardous dams and critical coastal infrastructure, in 2016, Governor Charlie Baker awarded $10 million to communities and groups across the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The funding is supported by the Dam and Seawall Repair or Removal Fund and the Governor's annual capital budget. The awards will go towards supporting the engineering and construction phase for 7 dam repair projects, 5 dam removal projects, and 8 coastal protection reconstruction projects.
There are hundreds of high-hazard dams in Massachusetts in need of repair.
Well, communities hit hard by coastal flooding last winter, and there are a lot of them, are now getting money, millions of dollars, on the line to repair dams and seawalls ahead of this upcoming winter.
The problem is this part of the Scituate seawall, which, thanks to a $3 million state grant on Tuesday, will be completely demolished and rebuilt, stronger and taller.
Is going to make a big difference.
Massive seawalls in coastal communities like this one will get millions of dollars in grants, but millions more is actually headed much further inland to do repair work on dams and levees to protect people and property far from the ocean.
We have $10 million to award today to 9 communities.
Several towns with old and failing dam systems will now get big money to fix what's wrong, like Taunton had to do with the Wittenden Pond Dam site.
There's a lot more work to be done with respect to this, to not just fix what people have that breaks, but also to make sure we do the kinds of things we need to do to adapt to that changing environment.
The Dam and Seawall Repair or Removal Program implemented by the Baker-Polito administration seeks to enhance, preserve, and protect the aesthetics and the natural resources provided by these ecosystems, in hopes to promote public health, public safety, and ecological restoration. Thomas Daly, the Federal Policy and Legislation Analyst, and our team of state analysts are working for the Baker-Polito administration, looking into this program and determining its efficiency. To determine this, many questions must be examined. Are these repairs and/or removals safe for the public and the environment? Is it worth it? Is it too expensive? Is the funding for each town and city enough? Is it biased or unfair? How is the condition of these seawalls and dams determined? Is there enough funding to make a real impact? What are the short-term and long-term effects? How will the repaired dams be maintained in the future? This analysis will determine the viability of the Dam and Seawall Repair or Removal Program and determine how to proceed in the future with issues concerning dams and seawalls.
The primary method of dam removal in Massachusetts is as follows. A company that specializes in dam removal is contracted by either the town or the DER, Division of Ecological Restoration. The DER operates under the Department of Fish and Game, who in turn operate under the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs. The construction project begins with the building of a temporary dam upstream for where the old one will be removed. This temporary dam blocks water flow so construction teams can have complete freedom to work in a dry environment and have full access to the shore and riverbed. After the temporary dam is built, they will then move on to reinforcing the shoreline. And then the next part of the process is to begin demolition of the dam. Dam excavators equipped with jackhammers break down the dam into small manageable pieces. The remains are then removed with cranes and bucket loaders and placed in a highway dump truck. They then take the debris off-site. After the dam is removed, the stream or riverbed is leveled out and filled with local rocks and dirt. And finally, the temporary dam is removed and water flow is restored, allowing the river or stream to flow naturally. Alternative methods in other states include using floating barges and excavators, diverting the water flow, and in extreme cases, the use of dynamite.
Currently, almost 80% of coastal infrastructures have outlived their 50-year lifespan in Massachusetts. That's 1,730 miles of coastal infrastructure in need of repairs. For years, the daunting task of restoring and repairing seawalls has been put off due to the high expense, with many towns and taxpayers having to pay millions of dollars to make high-priority fixes. So we have to consider all the alternatives. An important question to ask is, how much would it cost to repair a seawall? Though this question depends on the size of the structure and the extent of damage, repairing still costs less. Some organizations in Florida have taken to installing lighter weight, low-cost materials just outside of the old seawall. This shortens the construction phase of the project and reduces costs. Another alternative that has been discussed by ocean scientists at Boston University is beach nourishment. This would essentially beef up beaches by adding dredge material to beaches to combat erosion and increase the beach's width. An unpopular option to flood mitigation would be property buyouts. While this might be the most effective, it would also be extremely costly.
There are few alternate options to the current evaluate and repair or remove policy. Options are as follows: do nothing, 100% removals, or 100% repairs.
In 2001, a study was conducted by Angela Bednarek, a PhD candidate at UPenn, reviewing the pros and cons of dam removal and concluded the following. In regards to pros of dam removal, she states, when natural flow fluctuations are restored to a river, biodiversity and population densities of native aquatic organisms increase. Along with this, she also says, coastal rivers can also be positively impacted by dam removal. Many dams prevent ocean tidal surges and sea-run fish from moving upstream. Most migratory fish rely on these same tidal surges to transport themselves from estuaries and coastal regions into upstream spawning habitat. Removing dams on coastal rivers can dramatically enhance reproductive rates for aquatic organisms that depend on the movement of tides to help them to return to coastal breeding areas. Now, in regard to the negative impacts of dam removal, Bednarek states, it is important to note that in some dam removal cases, the diversity of certain organisms that prefer lake-like conditions may decline. Wet meadow grasses replaced species of cattail and sedge when the Fulton Dam on the Yahara River in Wisconsin came down. Consequently, the duck and muskrat populations that relied on cattail and sedge for habitat were negatively impacted by the removal of the Fulton Dam. This is just one of the many cases in which dams have created issues for wildlife. Regarding safety of dam removal, the pros definitely outweigh the cons, as dams cause more harm than good. For example, by October 2016, thousands of people had been evacuated from their homes in North Carolina due to dam failure threat. Failure of dams can cause detrimental flooding, leading to fatalities. With that being said, it is more beneficial to not have a dam at all than to have dams posing serious risks.
Pros to dam repair include money to the local economy, reward to taxpayers, safety, increased water quality, and recreational activity, while the cons to repair are the significantly higher costs.
Pros of seawalls. Seawalls are a barrier used to prevent upland erosion and storm surge flooding. They can protect property and other structures, therefore improving the safety of homes and other buildings within the community. This is especially beneficial if the shoreline is home to important infrastructure. Seawalls are often vertically built, therefore they have a smaller spatial requirement in comparison to other coastal defenses, such as dikes. Lower spatial requirements usually result in a lower construction cost. Additionally, as our climate continues to change and sea levels rise, it will be relatively easy to increase seawall structure height accordingly. Seawalls are potentially long-lived structures if they are well maintained. They are also fairly safe to have around because they block the intensity of the wave crashing into the coastline or the shores. This helps to ensure that no major damage will be caused to humans residing nearby. Cons of seawalls. Seawalls can have severe impacts in regards to beach vitality. Depending on the placement of the seawall relative to the beach, coastal processes may lead to active or passive erosion, which may cause a gradual loss of beach in front of the seawall. Scour can occur at the foot of a vertical seawall, which can lead to structural instability and seawall failure. Scientific studies have also shown negative ecological impacts, such as the loss of habitat and reduction in biodiversity when comparing seawall-impacted beaches to natural beaches. From an economic standpoint, seawalls may be a burden. Continued investment in maintenance and upgrades can limit future coastal management options. The building of seawalls also takes away from extremely valuable public property, and they are not aesthetically pleasing. This can negatively affect beaches that are dependent upon a tourist economy. On the other hand, the removal of seawalls also tends to be costly and politically controversial. Even with seawalls in place, overtopping can still occur and water will end up in coastal areas which needed protection in the first place.
Doing nothing to repair, replace, or remove the 8 seawalls discussed in this policy is not an option. Crumbling seawalls destroy beaches, and with a changing environment, coastal towns and cities must be prepared to deal with the impacts of climate change. Removal of seawalls is a costly, long project, and though the removal of these seawalls may benefit coastal environments, the economic costs are high. Removal is far more costly than repair and replacement, and the changing global climate may not allow all beaches to repair in time to protect against rising sea levels. Doing nothing leaves towns and cities open to flooding and severe damages to infrastructure. Economically, it makes more sense to repair and replace seawalls, as this is less costly and prepares coastal communities for the impacts of climate change.
Of the 12 dams selected by this policy, 7 are being repaired while 5 are being removed. Although dam removal is far cheaper, there are many local benefits to dam repair. Not only does it restore safety levels to the area, but also improves recreational activities. Furthermore, the construction process pumps money into the local economy with many new job opportunities. However, in the case of severely degraded and hazardous dams, removal is the best and necessary option. 100% repair or removal and doing nothing are not such simple choices. Doing nothing is simply not an option, as safety and environmental hazards stack up. Furthermore, choosing between 100% repair or removal is not an efficient tactic. The current evaluate and repair or remove method is the most efficient method, as the issues and structure quality of dams can differ greatly. As it stands, this policy is contributing necessary support to keeping dams and seawalls maintained at safe levels for the surrounding community.